A bill which can finally make it easier to study and research the good herb while going after the real hard drugs is finally heading to President Trump's desk for signature. And as more folks are open to the benefits of the plant, Facebook and Instagram seem to have stopped censoring cannabis-related search results, and sports fans are finally open to cannabis brands sponsoring professional teams in leagues like NFL, NBA, and MLB.
Fentanyl just got a whole lot harder to get your hands on. Congress just sent President Trump a bill that classifies fentanyl analogs as Schedule I drugs. That's the highest risk category. Think of it as a major crackdown on smugglers. The Halt Fentanyl Act brings some serious penalties for trafficking these drugs. The goal, update federal law. But legal fentanyl for medical use stays put. It's still a Schedule II drug. Lawmakers have been working on this for years. Over 109,000 people died from overdoses in 2022. Fentanyl was a major cause. Now researchers can still study fentanyl analogs. They need to for medical purposes. This is another bipartisan win for President Trump. He's been pushing for tougher border security and more crackdowns on drug trafficking.
So it's good to see that finally lawmakers are focusing on the real hard drugs that are actually causing a lot of problems in the communities. Now this may signal a win for the cannabis community, because according to this, it'll also make it a lot easier to study the good herb, and that is a win. Now while this bill is mainly focused on banning the analogs of fentanyl, it'll also contain provisions that one GOP lawmaker said will remove barriers from conducting research into the risks and benefits of the good herb. Now this bill is pretty much identical to one which has passed previously, bar a few minor changes which were made so that they don't criminalize everyone.
Great news in the fight against the scourge of fentanyl. The House just passed my Halt Fentanyl Act, and that will go to the President's desk to be signed, I think not this week, but the next week. In 2023, 70,000 of our fellow Americans died from a fentanyl overdose. This gives law enforcement one more tool to make that 70,000 zero.
So it's good to see that lawmakers are going after the real hard stuff, but actually acknowledging the fact that there are benefits when it comes to herb that a lot of people actually obtain relief from. Now just a quick reminder guys, if you're getting value from this video, please do like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to support us further, join the ICANN VIP Bean Club or just buy us a cup of coffee. Now I did mention previously that Facebook and Instagram seem to have stopped censoring search results for the good herb, especially when it comes to some of those search terms. That was pretty interesting because I did a search myself over on Instagram, and it actually appears that a lot of the search terms are no longer censored. Now this comes after criticism that the company's censorship was overbroad and limited access to education, public health information, and political advocacy. Now some of you guys would remember over the past few years there have been a lot of allegations that Facebook, Meta, and Instagram have been censoring the American public, but not just because they want to, but because the US government directed them to. If you guys recall, under the Biden administration there was a lot of talk about censorship. Have a look.
News alert just moments ago, Meta, the parent company of Facebook and Instagram, announcing a commitment to free speech online and a shift away from censoring all of us.
And that's why it's been so difficult over the past 4 years when even the US government has pushed for censorship. By going after us and other American companies, it has emboldened other governments to go even further. But now we have the opportunity to restore free expression, and I am excited to take it.
The company admitting that they were pressured into it over the last 4 years under the Biden administration.
I'm sure that that's something you guys would either remember being discussed or would have experienced for yourself. I know in the cannabis community a lot of people experience censorship, but also when a lot of people express political views on those platforms, sometimes they're also censored. Now I can already see some of you guys going crazy saying, Matt, that's a Fox source, that's far right, but you guys can Google this for yourselves. It's on all types of sources from ABC News, NBC News, CBC News, PBS, Reuters, NBC, CNBC, CNN, Time Magazine, Al Jazeera, Axios. It's everywhere. And some of you guys may actually recall back in 2020 there were large donations made by Zuckerberg to the administration which eventually won that election. Now censorship is dangerous. It's not only an attack on free speech, but it's also a way that a lot of propaganda can be pushed when you censor free speech. So you guys can see a lot of problems when it comes to Facebook, censorship, Meta, Instagram, all these social media platforms that are supposed supposed to be for free speech. But it turns out that some of them are not only not for free speech, but also the algorithm will show you certain things, but also hide other things. It's pretty similar to YouTube, where if your video is age restricted, it does not get shown to anyone, it does not get pushed in the algorithm, it pretty much gets stuffed into a little box and put in a corner and hidden away. That's how some of these people feel when their views differ from other people's views and they're actually penalized for it and their account is disabled. Now there's tons of you guys out there who would have been instances where your Instagram has been taken down, your Facebook's taken down, you were in a Facebook group, all of a sudden it's gone, and a lot of that has to do with not only violating guidelines but also with the big corporations. What do they want on their platforms and what do they not want on their platforms? Which political parties are they donating to, or which arms of government are they working with? So all of this is some really interesting stuff, but recently Mark Zuckerberg actually went on to the Joe Rogan podcast and talked about this very issue.
Started the week announcing all these changes to Meta's social media platforms, said that he was going to be working with the Trump administration, and now he is ending the week on Joe Rogan's podcast.
Sensing a theme?
A little bit, yes, more than a little bit. He's on Joe Rogan's podcast, and one of the topics he delved deeper into was the Biden administration and his complaints about the Biden administration.
Well, it goes to what he was talking about earlier in the week, which he calls censorship of Facebook. And he delivered it squarely on Joe's podcast.
It was during the Biden administration when they were trying to roll out the vaccine program. And I'm generally pretty pro rolling out vaccines. I think on balance, the vaccines are more positive than negative. But I think that while they're trying to push that program, they also tried to censor anyone who is basically arguing against it. And they pushed us super hard to take down things that were honestly were true, right? I mean, they basically pushed us and said, anything that says that vaccines might have side effects, you basically need to take down. And I was just like, well, we're not going to do that.
That's terrible. And we knew that was going on. I mean, there was something else. And again, I don't want to say this because it's not a political statement, but also they couldn't say anything about where the vaccine came from. That if you said the vaccine
where the virus came
from, rather, if you said it came from a Chinese lab, you were xenophobic, and it's something you couldn't say. So there was a lot of censorship. And the reality is this, and I think there is this overarching theme, that we should not be censoring speech so that one side of an argument gets all the attention and you muzzle the other side. Let people hear both sides. That is the core of democracy and free speech. That if you don't allow that, you don't have democracy.
It's the most un-American thing. It's what you'd see in a banana republic.
And that right there, guys, is a fantastic point. A lot of people get tied up in all of the politics of all this. But what it really comes down to is censoring anyone's views who are different to yours. If anyone has views which are different to yours or run counter to what you're saying or what you think, they need to be censored. And we've seen things escalate so much further in 2025 to the point where if someone disagrees with you, you're called bad names and people get really personal and start to attack you. So it's great to see that finally Facebook is no longer censoring words and search results when it comes to the good herb. That's absolutely fantastic. And what's also fantastic is that a lot of sports fans are now welcoming Canna brand sponsorships for teams in professional leagues like NFL, NBA, and MLB, according to a new poll. And these are sports fans across multiple leagues, from NFL to pro tennis to NBA and even NASCAR, as more professional sports teams loosen policies around the use of good herb among players, and some have even allowed for Canna-related sponsorships. The poll from the Performance Research and Full Circle Research found either a majority or a plurality support letting cannabis brands partner with sports teams. And again, these are all different sports teams, and you guys can see right here, here's the percentage of sports fans across those leagues who say it's completely or mostly acceptable for CBD companies to sponsor teams. In the MLS, 77%, UFC 68%, Pro Tennis 64%, NHL 62%, and you guys can see it goes on and on. So let me know what you guys think about that. Do you guys think that it's a good thing that Facebook is no longer censoring some of these search terms? And what about the research? Do you guys think that it's good that we'll have more studies and research into the good herb? Drop it in the comments and let me know. Now, you may have missed this, but recently a bunch of mothers came together in Texas and they're calling for THC to be banned. If you haven't checked it out, have a look at it because it's coming up right now.